is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Walchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
The leaves are changing colors, a little bit of a crisp in the air. It must mean the best time of the year. It's playoff time in Texas, and we are live from Frisco as Whataburger Friday Night Stars makes its way into the playoffs for the first time as a show. But man, we are excited for a little bit of Texas high school football playoffs. We are here from the Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters in the SWBC Mortgage Studios. Guys, playoffs are here. It seems like it was just yesterday. We were starting off week one, kicking the season off, but now we found our way into the postseason, and man, it could not feel even better.
Well, it got off to a fireworks start last night in Salina, did it not?
Ooh, bringing that up real quick.
They've already begun.
Yeah, I mean, playoffs, we're underway.
The blink
here.
of an eye, and
Craziness
it's
is
the
happening.
playoffs. Yeah, it is crazy. It feels like we just did our first show. We were talking about the start of the season, all the expectations for some of these teams. Some of them met the expectations. Others didn't. Some have a new lease on life. The Naaman Forest, the Mesquite Horns of the world. Everybody's still alive right now, and this is what it's all about. Do or die, win or go home. There's no more excuses, man.
Yeah, if you're new to the state of Texas, you understand how crazy we are about our high school football from last night all the way through the state. So, guys, welcome to Texas and Texas high school football.
Ooh, just feeling the playoff atmosphere kind of gets the blood pumping a little bit.
When Heckma starts talking, it gets my blood pumping.
That's really the biggest thing.
I don't know.
Heckma gets me juiced.
I don't know about that. Boy, I tell you, poured it on early.
Of course, we do want to give a quick shout out. We are still rocking the Bob Lilly promotions, the brand new jackets and the swag that we were able to get a hold of. We got the polos underneath. It's looking real good.
Breathable.
Actually,
They're very breathable.
I haven't taken mine off since last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you smelled, to be honest with you.
Well, the cologne's not working.
Truth's coming out.
Just wait until now, but you're a little smelly, and I think
Axe
that would
body
be one.
spray's not working.
No.
God.
Dang it.
No,
well, it
it's
still
not.
looks
Yeah, you
good,
smell like
though,
a
right?
7th grade locker room.
Well, they can't smell me
that's
from
awful.
there.
Apps.
Right? They can't smell me through the TV, so it doesn't matter.
That's
Yeah.
true. You still look great.
Thank you.
Well, that's good. That's
really
the
what
biggest
counts.
thing, and we're the only ones that have to suffer through it. But we're glad you're with us, and if it's the first time you're watching Whataburger Friday Night Stars, we're going to give you some highlights, some interviews, some scores, and, of course, some analysis throughout the area of North Texas and Texas high school football. And, guys, we've got some brackets to get to as we have gotten into the UIL playoff season. And let's start things off with the big boys. 6A Division I, and there is plenty to talk about in North Texas because we've got some of the best teams in the area. We'll start in Region 1. This is the top half of Region 1. Got Franklin and Midland up there, a little bit out of our areas, but we'll still talk about some of those games, whether they're in our area or not. But we're going to really hone in on Trinity, Arlington, Martin, and DeSoto Skyline. Both of those games are tonight. South Lake Carroll and Coppell is a magnificent game, but that will be played tomorrow. So we'll spend a little bit time on that, maybe in the overtime segment. But for right now, let's start off with Trinity and Arlington Martin. And Arlington Martin, kind of an underachieving team this year at 5-5. On the other hand, Euless Trinity early looked like they were the team that was going to emerge out of District 3 6A until they ran into the Halton Buffaloes, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But this is still a pretty darn good football game and a tough by-district matchup draw for both of these squads.
Yeah, this should be a fun one because it's two ground and pound teams.
Ground and pound.
Very similar styles. It's a great time for playoffs. You know, like when you think about playoffs, you think about running the football,
Playoffs,
great defense.
yeah.
Well, this is that kind of game right now with these two teams. They both want to run the ball. Trinity's going to have a much better defense than Martin, and that's where they're going to get the advantage there. But the other thing about Martin is they're 5-5 coming into the season. They're only plus 11 in point differential, and the teams they've beaten have a combined record of 15-35. So it's not like they've really beaten many good teams, but last week was the best win of their season. They beat a six-win Arlington Bowie team, which is great. So they're coming in feeling confident, but still, this is not an Arlington Martin Martin team that has really impressed in terms of the teams that they've beaten. Now, both of these teams, like I mentioned, they want to run the ball. They've both thrown it less than 150 times this year. I mean, they really are committed to the run. And when you look at it, you're going to have running back Montrell Smith. He's a senior for Arlington Martin. He's their go-to guy, 800 yards, 12 touchdowns. Their other running back, Alonzo Banks, he's a good player too, 330 yards, 5 touchdowns. But their X factor is this guy, Willie Roberts. Last week, he comes in, he starts the game as a receiver. He finishes the second half as the starting quarterback, leads the comeback victory. They go down, they have 3 scoring drives when he's at quarterback. He runs for 2 touchdowns. He caught a 60-yard touchdown pass in that game. I mean, the dude was just incredible. Oh, and not to mention, he had the game-clinching interception on defense. This guy plays both ways. He can play receiver. He can play quarterback. I don't know if they're going to start him because he hasn't started since the beginning of the year at quarterback. They've been going with the sophomore, Zach Mundell, who's a nice dual threat guy.
He's an exciting young player.
No, he absolutely is. He's a young dude, sophomore, 500 yards rushing, 6 touchdown passes, not a ton through the air, but again, a young guy, and he's able to get it done on the ground. I don't know if he got hurt last week or what the deal was, but second half, they put Willie Roberts in there, and he really breaks the game open, and he did it mostly on the ground as well.
Chiafalo, I swear to God, I need you to audition my credit score to the people that I'm getting, because I tell you, you are hyping them up right now. I want to know, are you going to pick them?
No, I'm not going that far. Listen, I'm showing him some playoff love.
You are showing love right now.
Willie Roberts,
my God.
He's spitting out his Martin facts.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I got all this info. I'm going to share it.
I'm going to share my Martin info here.
Okay.
Now, on the other side, obviously, Trinity. Listen, man, Brandon Theus, he's the guy that is their bread and butter offensively. 1,200 yards rushing, 9 yards a carry, and 15 touchdowns. But at quarterback, they got old Lockie Ellis. He's no threat to run, but throwing the ball, even though they don't do it often, they're pretty efficient when they do. I mean, he's throwing the ball 70% completion, 12 touchdowns, 1,300 yards. When they need to get it done, they can. But they got 3 guys with 5 or more rushing touchdowns this year. They can really get it done on the ground, and Theus is that guy. If they're going to throw it, they're going to go to Keanu Neal. He's their sort of possession receiver, but their big play guy, Colby Parton. He's the guy who's got 21 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns, almost 500 yards receiving. He's a big play threat. I just think at the end of the day, Trinity's a better defense. They have the same style offensively. They just do it better than Martin. At the end of the day, Trinity's just a better team. But shout out to Willie Roberts.
Martin is on a 3-game win streak. They had the impressive win over Bowie last week in order to try and squeak their way into the playoffs. And Trinity, I agree. I think that defense is just really it's a difference maker. It's a game breaker for the Trojans in order to try and make this thing happen. Carroll and Coppell will skip over because that game kicks off tomorrow at 2 p.m. Carroll, TJ McDaniel, of course, that's an intriguing matchup.
Pair of big-time SMU recruits, yeah.
That's true. Yes, very, very true. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But DeSoto and Skyline, this is an intriguing matchup, not just because of the names of the 2 programs, but DeSoto, of course, kind of getting out of that District 7 6A and almost stumbling a little bit to the finish. Had the loss to Cedar Hill in the last week of the season on Thursday last week, and now they come up against a decent matchup out of 8 6A and Skyline here.
Yeah, and you've got 2 really explosive quarterbacks. You got dual threat guys, Shandarian Ward for DeSoto. Velton Gardner, the decommit from Kansas State, recently committed to Texas Tech, so he's going to go play in Lubbock, but that's really it. I mean, you got Gardner, who's the do-it-all everything on the offense for Skyline, and then Shandarian Ward for DeSoto. And DeSoto's coming off that tough loss to Cedar Hill, and you know, that's one where both these teams, unfortunately, coming in not exactly red hot into the playoffs, but 2 teams that have been to the playoffs. Skyline had won, I think it was 22 out of 23 years in a row. They'd won at least 1 playoff game until they missed it last year. So 2 teams that are perennial playoff powers in 6A, and to get them matching up here in the first round in the bye district is really incredible when you look at the names associated and the history and pedigree with both those programs.
Yeah, odds makers didn't do them any favors with this one right here. I mean, because it's almost it's like how would you have a situation where sudden death for one of these great teams? But you know, I guess the way that's the luck of the draw. But I see DeSoto, especially coming from that disappointing loss last week to Cedar Hill. This is an obvious must-win game for them, but they did, you know, again, odds makers didn't do them any favors.
And I know Skyline has won 5 in a row to end the season, but you just think even though DeSoto coming in off that loss, they played in that District of Doom. They're battle-tested. Skyline, I mean, obviously being against Duncanville, that's a stalwart team within that district. The rest of the district, we talked about it last week. No discredit to the Richardson schools and J.J. Pierce, who's had an outstanding year, but just not as good as the competition in 7-6A. I just think DeSoto's a little more battle-tested. they face the more elite competition all season.
But, also Ward is going to be explosive for DeSoto, but Skyline has already seen someone just as explosive with him with Duncanville.
That's great. That's a great point.
But at the same time, they got hammered by Duncanville, so it's not a lot that you can learn from a loss like that.
But DeSoto's defense not nearly as good as the Duncanville defense, so Velton Gardner could be able to keep them in the football game.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go, indeed. And you look at really that both of those districts, actually, 7A, 6A and 8 6A, and how top-heavy they were. That's one of the reasons why that draw ended up being so unlucky for both teams. But we'll see whether or not Skyline – I mean, they're definitely the underdog. Skyline's the underdog here, and DeSoto – even though they've kind of limped their way to the finish, is still the favorite in this ball game. But the winner, of course, takes on probably Carroll, if you're looking at it. Sorry, Coppell Cowboys. It's just that's kind of how it's going to draw out for you if DeSoto or Skyline advances, depending on who does that. Let's move down to the bottom of that Region 1 bracket in Division 6A or 6A Division 1. And we'll look at Odessa Permian up there at the top. They'll play Lubbock Coronado just in a couple hours as well. But then you've also got 3 games here who we've all got as highlighted games, and we've got reporters actually at all 3 of these games as well. So we'll get some highlights later on. Let's start off with Arlington Lamar and San Angelo Central. Lamar, a team that lost that finale to Arlington and the Colts, but still end up as the favorite, or at least the higher seed in Division 1 in the big school ranks here with their finish in that district. But then you got San Angelo Central, who kind of challenged Haltom at least at the beginning last week, but Haltom was able to pull away in District 3 6A and clinch a championship. But for the second week in a row, it's not do or die from last week, but now it is for both of these squads.
Yeah, and look, for San Angelo Central, we're talking a lot about these playoff teams in recent years that have been there and had a bunch of success. And San Angelo Central is one of those teams. When you look at Lamar, as great as they've been all year, despite losing last week to Arlington in the district title, they're a team that does not have the pedigree of recent success as San Angelo Central does. So both these offenses are really outstanding, especially Lamar. We know all about Jack Dawson.
Yeah, we do.
The numbers that he's put up. And Jack Dawson's had an outstanding season. His favorite target, Traven West, they've hooked up for 13 touchdowns. And Lamar, I think the thing that's impressed me the most about this offense all season has been their balance with Jordan Williams running the football. But for Central, they have made it past the first round for 5 straight years. They've made it to the playoffs for 9 straight years. And despite losing their quarterback to a season-ending injury at the beginning of the season, Malachi Brown has stepped up in his absence and has not only filled that void and allowed this team to still have success through the air, but it's been with his legs. I mean, the dude has been outstanding. 127 yards rushing last week against Haltom. He is a true dual threat in every sense of the word. So there could be a ton of points put up in this football game.
Yeah, there really could be. And you look at the explosiveness from Arlington Lamar, of course, but you don't really see that same kind of thing, at least stat line wise. But you look at the defenses that San Angelo Central had to go against in Trinity and Haltom and teams like that. I know Haltom's defense isn't their bread and butter. It's Michael Black in that offense. But at the same time, San Angelo Central is a team that can put up points against a subpar defense, and that's what they're going to have to do if they're going to get in a boat race with Lamar in this one.
Absolutely. I think this is a true push kind of game. This could really go either way. I think a lot of people have been high on this Arlington Lamar team, but you can't sleep on the San Angelo Central Bobcats, even though they're making that far, far drive. But they've had to do it several times this year.
Yeah, that's a great point, because they're not any strangers to that drive. And heck, I know you probably went through this a little bit. As a drive like that, playoff-wise, when you get into these regions and something like that, does that ever affect anything from a player standpoint?
It's just it's a business trip, and I think all of the guys, relish in having that road trip. It's fun,
Yeah.
They're getting an opportunity not to play in their backyard, but go to someone else's. You stop by the Whataburger on the way.
Hey, yes, sir.
Nothing can be better.
On the way or on the way back, or both?
Both. Pre-game meal and then victory meal.
Exactly.
Gotta have
both.
That. Now, are they traveling on like your typical yellow school bus, or they got the charter buses?
They got charters. Bro.
Charter,
yeah.
absolutely.
I think so. Okay.
Just for playoffs, though, you think during the season they were coming down here on yellow school bus?
The Yellow Dogs?
No,
that's
they
not a
charter.
fun trip. That's not a fun business.
They've got the nice updated seats.
Absolutely.
Seat belts.
That's a program that's been doing it for a while. I don't see those guys riding on the yellow bus.
That's true. You never know, though. I wonder if we could get somebody
like the yellow buses.
to tweet at us at Friday_stars I honestly enjoyed the Yellow Dogs a little bit more. You can lay down in the seats a little bit. That's a separate. That's
Depends
a
how
separate.
big
I'll
your
be getting
school
bus
is.
sick, man. You can't get bus sick before the game.
Dang,
You got
right.
to
I
have the
get more
charger.
bus sick in a charter than I do in a Yellow Dog.
Oh,
Now
you're
we got to debate which
unbelievable.
one's more comfortable.
Oh my goodness, you
We'll
got a
talk about
bathroom
this
on the
later.
charter
We're
bus.
gonna make this a
Which is
Twitter
the better
poll if
bus?
we have to. Yeah,
There's really no debate.
no, that's
Nostalgia.
That's a lie.
I mean, that's your only
Hey
argument.
guys, why don't we just end this and
That's a
say
lie.
flying is better?
Hey, I like that. Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. Okay, so how about Louisville and Keller? Honestly, this is one of my most intrigued matchups throughout the entire night. I really like what could come to the table between both of these 8-2 teams. Also, not to mention both teams in tough districts. And they made their way through and now have a chance to play each other. Louisville with the emotional win. And we saw that last week with the interview of the head coach from Ashley Pickle after the game. Saw exactly how emotional that win over Flower Mound Marcus was to close out the season. Keller, on the other hand, has had some emotional games on their end as well. This game might go down to the wire in by-district action, and the winner gets the winner of Duncanville and South Grand Prairie.
Oh, lucky them.
Reward.
Well, we know, I think, who that's probably going to be. The
SGP,
Duncanville Panthers.
Man, it's going to be
and-
crazy.
Well, all right. I like that attitude.
We'll talk about it later.
But this is two teams. We've talked a lot about pedigree. These are two schools that have not been into the postseason and have not had success in the playoffs for a while. You look at the Farmers, they haven't advanced since 2007, and Keller hasn't made it to the area round since 2004. So two schools looking for their first taste of playoff win fulfillment that they haven't seen in a while. So Louisville banged up, I think, coming into this one. And hopefully we can get to talk to Nick Nepic here. But Louisville's apparently dealing with some injuries, and we've talked a lot all season about Keller and that offense. I know you're a big fan of Enoch and Chobo Heckma and what he brings to the table.
Well, I am a big fan of his, but the one thing that I have seen steadily from Louisville is their ability to stop the run. I mean, they have done that night in and Friday after Friday. The Farmers are really stout in the front line, and I just think it's something that's going to give Keller a problem tonight.
You look at the defense for Louisville, and their offense doesn't put up a whole lot of points, but it's because that defensive side of the football has been so successful. And if they're banged up, do you think that could play a factor into maybe Keller with the explosiveness on the offensive side being able to put up some points here?
Well, the thing that does travel is defense in a running game. And so, I mean, no matter what, unless they just lost all 11 guys on the defense, they're still going to be competitive. I just feel like for Keller, this is a game that obviously they're going to rely a lot on Chobo. And let's not get it confused. I mean, Keller does a lot of things on offense in their passing game as well. I just think
Sloan Henry, quarterback, he's really good.
Absolutely. And again, Louisville has that pedigree on defense where, giving up 16 points, all their average.
Which is half of what Keller averages coming in. So
that's a pretty big
right.
difference.
You're 100% right. The matchup is that Keller offense versus the Louisville defense.
It's huge.
And I think for Louisville, the question then becomes, can they score? Can they score enough points? We talked about that with Ryan until they got to district play and proved it to us, right? If they got into a scoring track meet, would they have the offense or be able, even if it's on the defensive side or special teams, just to get some points in their favor? We'll probably find that out with the Farmers tonight.
Well, you look at some of the biggest matchups. Louisville, Flower Mound Marcus, that was 17-13, not a high-scoring game. Louisville 13, Coppell 6, not a high-scoring game. Same thing with Irving MacArthur. That was a 14-10 game, 14-13 over Sam Houston. So a lot of these wins for Louisville have been low-scoring games. However, they have had some anomalies with Louisville 61-10 over Irving. Now, I know Irving's not one of the best teams in the entire area, but this Louisville team can put up some points, but they've also shown they don't need to on occasion. They can usually kind of ground and pound and work things out that way. And we do have Nick Nepic on the phone, the voice of the Louisville Fighting Farmers. Nick, thanks for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. This is going to be a real fun matchup, and I'm a little jealous of you actually being able to be there on the call. But what are you looking forward to most between the Fighting Farmers and then Keller on the other side?
Hey, guys, how's it going? Hello from Denton. Took me a while to get out here, but happy to be here. And looking forward to most, I think, just the battle of two strengths. Louisville has been great on defense all year, and one of the better front sevens, especially in DFW. And Keller, their offense is electric, and they've got a lot of weapons. And it'll be interesting to see who's going to, I guess, give in there. Is the Keller offense going to lead the way, or is it going to be the Louisville defense? And then on the other side of that coin, is the Louisville offense going to step up, or the Keller defense? I think the matchup is very interesting because they're two they're similar teams in their record and how they've played, but their strengths are the opposite. So which one of those strengths is going to be a weakness tonight? I think that's what I'm going to watch for.
Nick, how do you think Louisville will be able to put up some points in this one? Like, you've seen this team play all year long in crunch time. If they need a play on offense, who's the guy that they're turning to?
Well, the guy has been Dalen Clark. He is a defensive back. He's a receiver. He returns punts and kicks. But last week in the Battle of the Axe, he went down with what looked to be an ankle injury while playing defense. He only played one series on each side of the ball. Now, when he was on offense, he caught a screen pass and took it 55 yards for a touchdown. So he made an impact, but he missed the rest of that game. He said that he's going to play, or he said that after the game last week. His teammates said that, but, they're high school kids. That's what they're going to say. And
That's right.
to say that. So we'll see if he plays tonight, but he's been the go-to guy. If not Dalen, then it's going to be freshman wide receiver Armani Winfield. He has gotten better each week. He's 6'4", and he's 14 years old, and he had a big catch last week on a 3rd and 8 for about 35 yards, and that was a big momentum play in that game. Sending him deep will be the main threat for Louisville offensively, but they've got to be able to run the ball, and they've been able to do that well this year. Keller's given up some rush yards, so we'll see what Louisville can do offensively, but like you said, they're certainly going to have to find somebody, and they're going to have to be able to move the ball.
Nick, how healthy is Louisville in general? I know you mentioned Clark banged up. In general, is Louisville coming into this game healthy, or are they a little beat up?
Well, going into last week, they were as healthy as they've been all year, and they had Dalen go down, like I said, and then on top of that, first-team All-District corner from last year, Corey Miller. He's only played 3 games now. He played the opener, and then he's played the last 2. He went down again, what looked to be the same shoulder that's really bothered him all year. He played a lot of that game and then got hurt, so we'll see if he plays tonight. But he is a first-team All-District corner, and then Dalen Clark is a great corner as well. If they have both of them, the defense is really strong throughout. Without them, not saying they're weak spots, but they're certainly weaker than if those two aren't playing. Other than that, pretty much everyone is healthy. Ben McAfee, the starting running back, came back last week, looked pretty good. They've got some depth there, but outside of those two, defensive backs, one being a receiver as well, they are pretty healthy.
Hey, Nick, you tried to sneak this bias, but you said a 6'4", 14-year-old?
He's 14 years old, and he is 6'4", already one of the top receivers for the class of, what would that be, I guess 2022?
Yeah.
Wow.
Solid on some recruiting websites. He's definitely a freshman. He looks rough at times. It took him some time to, I guess, get acclimated to varsity football, but he's made some really big plays as the season's gone on. But Armani Winfield is certainly a name you want to look out for in the next 3 years, even after this playoff game, if tonight is the last one.
Should be a whole lot of fun between Louisville and Keller. Nick Nepic on the call for that one, and he's on the phone with us here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to talking to you again down the road soon.
Of course, guys. Anytime. Have a great show tonight.
All right. Thanks, Nick. And, man, that's going to be a lot of fun between those two teams. And I think that he said it on the head. They're a little banged up. They've got some injuries there, but that's still a strong defense no matter what.
Absolutely.
That's what they've shown so far.
It's fun.
There's no reason why we should think any differently about how they're going to match up tonight against Keller. That game kicks off as soon as we're off the air at 7. Let's move on to Duncanville and South Grand Prairie. And, guys, we did this over social media, and we've put together our bracket picks, and we'll talk about this in length later as well. But I picked Duncanville as my 6A Division I state champion, and one of the big reasons is look in that points allowed column, and that's why I have them as my state champion. Yes, over the Allen Eagles, I am picking Duncanville to win that state championship, and I don't know if I'm alone there or not. We'll talk about that later. But is there any chance here for South Grand Prairie, who kind of stumbled their way down the rest of that district schedule there?
There have been people use analogies like snowball and hell and places like that. And there's been a lot of that discussion. But, we won't go there. What I will say is that there's –
just went there.
I did, right? Don't you love it when people do that?
We won't go there, but I did mention it.
You won't go there.
Moving on.
Look, the number one thing is, guys, is that there are a few teams in these brackets that it is state or bust for. Duncanville is that team. If anything less than state is an underachieving season. And you look at Coach Reginald Samples, I will say this, the winningest African-American coach in Texas high school football. This man has witnessed the Division I signing of thousands of athletes. He has held several regional trophies. He has gotten Coach of the Year. The one thing that he does not have is a state title. And I think that, it's not thinking about it. He has the team now. And I think guys coach for years and years and years and years, and they never come upon a team like the one that he has right now. These guys are making history. 3.7 yards allowed per game. I think we went into this a couple weeks ago. Last week, obviously, I call them the duffel bag boys because everything that they do, it travels. And so when they get off of the bus, they are getting off of the bus with that defense and my man, Action Jaquindon Jackson. You cannot stop it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can go and prevent. You can put a 44 Bears defense on it.
Can I even hope to contain it?
Stop it. So SGP.
It's like Novocaine, baby.
I thought you said I couldn't stop it.
SGP, tonight you're going to kiss the baby. It's okay. Yeah. All right? Yeah. It's okay. But listen, guys, you got it. Everybody else around here should have it on their brackets as well. It ain't. Look, the Panthers have the whole season, guys. They have left a dominating track and nothing but clean bones behind them.
Hey,
nothing but clean bones behind them.
I love hearing this. This is music to my ears. I've been on this Duncanville bandwagon since the season started.
You were one of the first ones to do it,
and I've picked him in that bracket as well. And I'll tell you, it's going to be tough to beat an Allen Eagle squad, but this Duncanville team, that defense,
that is the one team,
is something vicious.
That's the one team we've been saying it all season, and it's been game after game after game, the type of shutouts that they've been pitching. I mean, when you talk about up by 3 points and then touch the ball twice on offense. How do you do it? I don't know.
Nope.
You just dominated in all facets of the game, and Duncanville has that.
Enough said. I can run through a wall right now if I were
Let's go then.
Let's go run through a wall.
There's a wall right there, baby.
Prove it. We'll see. We'll see in the break. Maybe I'll have some success there. Let's move on to the other team that we're talking about favoring, Allen and Rowlett. This is in Division I, Region 2 of the 6A level. Let's take a look at their side of the bracket as they've got Allen versus Rowlett up at the top. That's an intriguing game on that second level there. Rockwall and Belton. We'll preview that in just a moment. And then Cedar Ridge, Langham Creek, and then the Woodlands and Benjamin Davis out of the southern part of Texas. But let's focus on that top part of the bracket with Allen and Rowlett. Of course, Allen, number one team in the country. Rowlett, a team that really just hasn't necessarily played up to par the last week of the season when we saw what they were able to do against Saxe, which was absolutely nothing, Zach.
It's a problem when we start talking about Allen, and the only thing that you can do to sell a potential upset is to just go back into history and say, hey, this happened before. Maybe lightning strikes twice and we get it again.
Ooh.
We did it earlier in the season with Coppell, the last team that's beaten Allen in the regular season. That was the closest game Allen played all year. Why is that? They ended it at halftime due to weather, and they were up 21-0. Allen has been destroying teams, and for Rowlett, the worst thing that probably could have happened to them was last week in an essential district title game against Saxe. They got the doors blown off them 48-0. Mm-hmm. So the last team to beat Allen in the first round was Rowlett. They did it 37-32 in 2007. They jumped out to an early 30-0 lead. And I think when you look at everything, and it's not to diminish Rowlett, they've got a really good team. Chase Tupal's had an excellent season, led the district in passing over 1,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, can also run the ball. Jerry Evans had a great year, Chauncey Amos on the ground. But this Allen team is so deep. Grant Tisdale and Theo Weiss are maybe the best wide receiver quarterback duo in the country. Their defense is athletic. Their front seven is nasty. Good luck to Rowlett. Maybe they can do it again. But Allen right now, they look like they're going to rip through this district.
Stop the presses. Zach Wolchuk just picked Rowlett to beat Allen. It's official.
It's heard
a prediction.
No. I heard it, and I just kind of wanted to, he didn't just do that. He didn't just do that, but he did it, and I'm glad you stopped.
This is Wolchuk's mesquite horn moment.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
He just walked
Do you
right
have anything
into
to
it.
say for yourself right now?
I don't know where this has come from,
No,
but
it's okay.
I wish that I want Rowlett to maybe win this one.
That would be interesting.
I just don't think that they've
here's
got
the
a
thing.
chance. I'm sorry.
Looking at it, though, what would be the number one chaos move in the entire by-district slate? It would be Allen.
Oh, it would be an
losing.
Allen loss, no doubt.
And so chaos has been abundant in Texas high school football.
We love chaos.
Playoffs before, and we do love chaos. So maybe it'll happen. Let's move on to a game that will almost certainly be chaos because of the amount of points that are going to be put up. Rockwall and Belton. This game I'm intrigued about because Belton, growing up, was my rival of my school in Waco Midway. We did not like Belton.
I'm glad
at
you
all.
know something about Belton
Did
because
not
I
like
was
Belton
searching
at all. Well, Belton does not have their starting quarterback. Crothers is his last name. He ended up getting hurt in the Temple game, late in the Temple game. However, it was the week after the Temple game, he got hurt against Colleen Ellison. The second half, though, that Belton offense still put up 56 points in the second half alone without their starting quarterback. So they're still going to put up a lot of points for the Belton Tigers. On the other side, by the way, the logos are exactly the same. It's just a B and an R and different colors. Just wanted to let that be known. Also, Belton is red and they're the Tigers. And then, of course, Rockwall is the orange
Yellow
jacket.
Right
So
on.
Which makes perfect sense.
Makes
very
perfect sense on
strange.
both sides of it. But anyways, Rockwall's another team that can put up some outstanding points per game. This should be a lot of fun to look at between both of these teams, and I think this is going to be an absolute barn burner here, Heckma.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, man, Jacob Clark and company have done it all season. The two losses that they have are to a great Longview team, and obviously ours truly, Highland Park. But that's
Ours truly. Don't
Ours
say
truly.
that.
You guys are homers.
No, we're not.
But I gotta let it be known. But guys, listen, it's my guy Jackson Smith in Jiba,
Where's he going to college?
somewhere special.
The Ohio State University.
And you know what? I think that
Buckeyes?
kid is going to fit in quite nicely because of his running style and everything that he does. But you're right, man. When you say this is going to be a barn burner, I looked at a lot. I had to really go digging on Belton, and these guys score a slew of points. And so it's, whoever has the ball last kind of a game right here. But I'm definitely looking for Rockwall. I'm hoping, because of what we know about them, that they're able to pull this game out. But it's, for lack of better words, it's going to be a barn burner.
And really, this has the makings of an instant classic, really, from the barn burner specialty and the amount of points that are going to be put up, and also the fact that the winner gets the potential Allen Eagles, 99% chance they get the Allen Eagles in that next round. It makes things even crazier because this might be the last game you win, no matter what side you're on here.
This is the last game you win.
No, this is it. Yeah,
This is
This
it.
is your state title.
Okay, if we're going to chalk it up, we're going to chalk it up. Let's go to the bottom half of this Region 2 bracket.
boy.
Starting with Saxe and Plano East is up at the top, and that's the one game we're going to highlight out of this bottom half of Region 2 for his 6A Division 1. Saxe, of course, last week ended up having that big blowout over Rowlett. Well, the winner of that one's going to take on my Midway Panthers or the Mesquite Skeeters as they play tonight down in Waco. And then they've also got Cypress Woods, Round Rock, Spring, and Klein Oak. A pretty heavy bracket, really, from top to bottom. You look at Cy Woods, Round Rock.
Allen caught a break with their region, too.
They really did.
Oh, boy, did they ever.
This is a tough region.
This is a really tough
All
region.
4 games are going to be very good in the first round, and whoever moves on is going to have a incredible test in round number 2, and then whoever wins that has a good chance to play Allen, at least going into that. Whoever comes out of this has a good chance to play Allen in the state quarterfinals. So there's a lot at stake here. Let's look at that Saxe and Plano East game, go in depth a little bit here. And of course, Saxe, I mentioned it a moment ago, the 48-0 rout of Rowlett to end the season. Can they keep that momentum going into a game with a very good Plano East team here?
It's going to be hard-pressed to shut out the Plano East Panthers, who offensively have been outstanding this year, led by Brandon Mallory at quarterback, who, he is, in this East offense, has scored 25 or more points in 9 of 10 games. And for Saxe, they lost Hunter Spears, who I know was a player to watch early in the year for Eric. I believe the Notre Dame commit. He is done for the season with an ACL injury, a big loss there. So they're probably going to have to turn to their linebacking core in order to help and sustain some of this run defense. Losing a player like that, Bryce Robinson has stepped up and been a really good linebacker for Saxe all year. But this is a rematch game. There's a couple rematch games here in the opening round of the playoffs. Saxe and East played in week 3, and East won that one 29-7. That put Saxe at 0-3 on the year entering district play. and they've gone ahead and racked off 7 wins since. And the big reason for that is because they went ahead and switched to Derrick Rose at quarterback, and Derrick Rose has come in and provided a big-time spark for that offense, made this team a lot more explosive. They're a run-heavy team. They've got a variety of guys that are going to carry the ball, but it really is all about for Plano East, who has had an outstanding turnaround, winning 8 games for the first time in almost a decade, from going 3-7 last year to in the playoffs. This is a very, very close game. I think it's going to be very different than that Week 3 match because it's two teams that have gone completely separate directions. East was probably peaking when they first played. Saxe trying to figure out who they are. 7 weeks later, Saxe's trotting out a new quarterback. They are completely different now. It's going to be quite the chess match.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Plano East that's so intriguing, and you have definitely talked about this at length early in the season, just the speed that they have as a team. We were looking for them to put up some great numbers versus Prosper. We thought they even had a chance versus Allen. But we saw that they didn't. I mean, I think Allen scored 70 points versus them, and then there was a little bit of a hangover, the Allen beat-down hangover that we've been talking about here. But I like Saxe. I think that Saxe is that team that has poured it on, and they're coming in with a lot of momentum at the right time. And like you said, Plano East may have peaked already. Saxe may be at that point, but you obviously in playoffs and win or go home situations, you want to peak at the right time.
Yeah, you definitely do, and a lot of these teams having to do so in order to try and get it out of that tough bottom half of Region 2. Now, we've gone through the 6A Division 1. We're going to take a quick break, but whenever we come back, we'll keep it going with 6A. We'll go to the Division 2 side of things. As we keep going down the bracket, we'll talk about some Haltom, Michael Black a little bit, maybe some Cedar Hill in there as well. Arlington, our boy Jahari Rogers. We'll talk about 6A Division 2 coming back after the break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a Forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fan Tag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fan Tag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fan Tag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fan Tag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Inside the Star here in Frisco. Lots of the pictures of the teams, a picture of every single team here at the headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys. And hopefully a lot of these high school programs at the end of the season will have their team picture plastered up on their walls inside the athletic departments with the words state champion up above them. Never know what can happen in the Texas high school football playoffs, and we're going to do our best to tell you about it here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. This is the pregame show. We'll lead you up to kickoff around the North Texas area. Guys, we talked about the North Texas area in 6A Division 1. Let's go to 6A Division 2 here. Lots of good games to talk about. We'll start in Region 1 where it all gets going with Haltom and Bowie. Also, we've got some games there as well with Fossil Ridge and Hebron, Cedar Hill and Pierce. Another tough region to escape out of. And actually, this is Region 1, the bottom half of the bracket. Oh, there we go. There's what we're talking about. The Americas up at the top with Midland Lee there. And then there's Haltom, Arlington, Bowie, Fossil Ridge, Hebron, and then Cedar Hill and J.J. Pierce. Just a lot of good games around this area. And let's start with Haltom and Bowie. Michael Black has been one of the favorites all season long on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. And Zach, I hate to break it to you, but Bowie and the Volunteers have not lived up to your expectations. But this is going to be a pretty good football game from the get-go. And, Eric, I know you've had your eye on this one really from the get-go.
Yeah, man, Haltom, what a season they've had. Undefeated, 10-0, trying to make it past the first round of the playoffs for the first time since 1997. And it all starts and stops with Mr. Michael Black.
Who?
As we know, Michael Black,
all
baby.
Right.
He's
Say it a third time, baby. What's this man's name?
Mike Black.
Oh, Michael Black.
Amen. He's the leading rusher and obviously leading passer. 1,700 yards through the air, 21 touchdowns, 1,300 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards and 37 touchdowns combined. This dude has been unbelievable.
Ice cold.
He's got a couple of great receivers in Decorian Mitchell and Julian Johnson. These guys are both seniors. They both have almost 800 yards and respectively have 9 and 10 touchdowns each. So these guys are getting it done through the air. And then their running back, he's a junior, Kenneth Cormier Jr. Cormier Walchuk. I know he's in no relation.
No relation to Daniel Cormier.
That's correct. No, he's Kenneth. He's a junior, so his dad is Kenneth Cormier. Shout out to you, Kenneth Sr. 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns for him. Listen, Haltom, they just got offense galore, and the good thing is they back it up with a heck of a defense as well. You look over at Arlington Bowie, like you mentioned, Kyle coming in here, a little bit disappointing. They've been stumbling off back-to-back losses coming in. They've had 8 turnovers combined in the last 2 weeks, 5 last week.
They've lost all their big games.
They've lost.
They really have.
They literally have lost all of their big games. They have fallen short.
Now, they do have weapons, and when their offense isn't turning the ball over like crazy, when they're clicking, they can do some things.
I like Malcolm Mays. He's a good player.
No question. 2,000 yards through the air, 21 touchdowns, 9 picks, but he's also got 350 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns.
And 9 picks.
And they got 5 guys with multiple TD catches. So he spreads it around. He's got weapons, but their best players offensively, besides, I guess, Malcolm himself, is their running backs. They got 2 juniors, so that's good for next year at least. But Deontay Prevost is their workhorse, 900 yards, 10 touchdowns. And the other guy, Marseille Sims, he's a junior, 500 yards, 7 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. So listen, if Bowie doesn't turn the ball over, their offense could really make this thing interesting, and there could be a lot of points scored in this game. But if Bowie's going to turn the ball over, and they've done it 8 times in the last 2 games, that's going to be problematic. They're going to lose this game handedly if that's the case.
Chiafalo, you have a talent, and that's making something bad sound good. How do you think
I scored my fiance?
I know. I know it, man. You just did that.
Boy, yeah, that is very, very true. Isn't
He
it?
did that.
Needless to
I
say,
don't think
Bowie's going to get smoked.
bad. They're not better than Haltom. Haltom's just a better football
they're
team.
not better than Michael Black.
And they're certainly
That's
not
really
better
the
than Michael Black. Few people are better than Michael Black. A Texas Football Player of the Year nominee, Michael Black.
And I would not be surprised one bit if he's at least in the finalist. I know he's in the conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up winning. And I know there are probably some other candidates there that might have a slight advantage there. But Michael Black has done a lot for that Haltom program this season. Been absolutely incredible.
It started for the legend of Michael Black started with Euless Trinity, and it has just continued throughout the season.
It really has.
A lot of what you said is so accurate, but also in addition to all of that, the Haltom defense is amazing as well. So that's going to be one of the things that takes them through however long they go to state.
In order to get through that District 3 6A Division 2, or not Division 2, but District 3 6A, you have to have a good defense.
Absolutely.
And Haltom did do that.
San
and they
Angelo
were able to
Central,
show that.
we talked about them as
Central,
well.
yes. And Trinity.
Yep.
And Trinity there as well. You have to have a good defense in order to make it out of that division. And not only did they win or to get out of there, but they ended up winning that district as well. Let's go to Keller, Fossil Ridge, and Hebron. This is an intriguing game, and a lot riding on this. For both teams, I know it's a playoff game, but for Fossil Ridge, that's a team that snuck their way in with a monumental win over Denton Geyer last Thursday in order to get into the playoffs. And this is a Fossil Ridge team that's peaking at the right time. They were right just on the edge of getting beat by Keller. They did get beat by Keller. They did beat Keller Timber Creek, and really they had a couple losses in the last part of the season. But this is a Fossil Ridge team that can maybe find a way to beat a Hebron team and make it into that area finals.
Yeah, this is without a doubt a pick'em game. I mean, this is 2 teams that are very evenly matched, and I think you could go either way. I think you could literally make a case for either of these teams to win. We've talked all year long about that Fossil Ridge defense. The question is the offense. I mean, what's going on at quarterback for them? Is it Scotty Collis? Last week, Austin Stolen came in and led the game-winning touchdown drive for them against Denton Geyer. So what are they going to do at quarterback? Who is going to start? And for Hebron, they're a team that's got all the talent in the world on offense. When you look at Carson Harris at quarterback, Trajan Bridges is one of the best players, period, in the state of Texas. He can do it for them in a multitude of different ways. Over 1,000 all-purpose yards, 15 total touchdowns. But Hebron has struggled at times to get stops on defense, and they've had issues special teams-wise as well. So something's got to give here. I think offensively you give the edge to Hebron, defensively you give the edge to Fossil Ridge. 2 teams, very, very even.
Yeah, I just want to say this about this matchup. These are 2 teams that backed into the playoffs. I mean,
great point. Yeah, it is.
Literally, Hebron is, they had a few tough spells throughout the season in their district where it didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs. I guess with Marcus kind of falling off there right at the end, allowed them to get in. But Fossil Ridge is also a team that we thought was going to be a lot better than what they are right now. Tough district play that they had, but This is, like you said, a pick'em game. Either way, this could go. But I'm gonna go Hebron with this one because I think Trajan Bridges is definitely going to be the difference maker in this game.
He definitely could be. There's no doubt about it. I think Bridges is something that Fossil Ridge will look at from a receiver standpoint, and there's nowhere they can cover. He's a matchup nightmare, and I think Bridges could really be a game breaker. And if he has a big game, Fossil Ridge might be in a little bit of trouble because that's an offense that we've seen can kind of pitter-patter their way to just a couple points on the night. Let's move on to Cedar Hill. Man, the Longhorns finished the season strong last week with that huge win in the District of Doom, winning the District of Doom with that victory over DeSoto. And now they've got J.J. Pierce on the horizon. This is a Cedar Hill team that finished strong. They kick off at 7:30 tonight, and man, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch the Cedar Hill Longhorn team and really kind of the favorite throughout Region 1. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think
by any means.
The King of Doom, man. How could you be wrong?
It's
man?
true.
The King of Doom. These guys are incredible.
Offensively, you look at Shane Lawrence and what he brings to the table. They can run the football very effectively. Defensively, they stepped up and had some key turnovers and key stops to beat DeSoto in that heated rivalry game. So, look, Cedar Hill, a team that's got the pedigree. They had the disappointment last season. They're back in the playoffs now, and absolutely, they're probably the favorite to come out of that region.
Yeah, Pierce is a tough team, and there's not a lot being said about them, but Bo Brewer is going to be a problem for Cedar Hill. But the thing about Cedar Hill that makes them, everybody always talks about the offense of Cedar Hill. It's hard to look over Shane Lawrence and Treach, but at the same time, the linebacking core, their DBs, the secondary for Cedar Hill, these guys play lights out, and they're all over teams. And so this is a great matchup, first-round matchup for Cedar Hill, which is a young team. So this is going to be one to keep our eyes on.
Yo, it is definitely one to keep an eye on because if you look at Cedar Hill, if they end up getting upset, then it might pave the way for a team like Fossil Ridge or a team like Hebron, whoever makes it out of that matchup, to try and go into that third round and get to the regional finals and make some noise.
Potential
there.
Cinderellas. I mean, you look at all these teams when you have Holtham in there, you can see them making a legitimate run. The winner of that Hebron Fossil Ridge game, they certainly have talent. Some Cinderella teams sleeping within this region.
One of the Cinderella teams all year long has by far been the Arlington Colts, and they're in the bottom half of that same region in 6A Division 2. And of course, Jahari Rogers, he's been the story. And you see them in that second slot, the winner of District 4 6A. Weatherford, a Kangaroo team that kind of snuck their way into the playoffs. And I love the fact that we get to talk about the Kangaroos again.
Think they'll bring the Kangaroo?
Oh, I'm sure they will. Crikey.
I don't know what else
Australian
the Weatherford
people.
Kangaroos? You think they're bringing the Kangaroo to this one?
Outback Steakhouse for everybody. But I think if you look at Arlington and Weatherford, Flower Mound, Denton, Geyer, Lake Highlands, and Mansfield Lake Ridge, those are all tough
There's
matchups.
3 awesome teams.
Those are all pick'em games too.
Yeah, there's 3 really good teams in there. You look at Lake Ridge, I think both Flower Mound and Geyer are legitimate, and then Arlington, of course, has been outstanding this year.
Yeah, if Geyer hadn't been limping into the playoffs right now, that Flower Mound with game against Geyer right now would be probably my game of the night.
It really could be your game
it
of
is
the night
still
regardless.
probably my game of the night. I think Flower Mound and Geyer is going to be an absolute wreck-em, barn burner, black and blue, physical football game.
And we'll talk about this real quickly, then we'll go back to Arlington and their side of things as well. But for Flower Mound, of course, their first playoff appearance since 2010. A great story there. What are you laughing about?
I love this game.
I do too.
I love this game.
This game is so fun.
I can't believe it.
Look, first district title ever for Flower Mound, and they play. I think what it is their fast tempo of offense. We talk a lot about these spreads. Flower Mound averages 13 seconds per the end of the previous play to where they snap the ball on offense. And you talk about they've got talent and juniors to work with it. With Blake Short at quarterback, Pierce Hudgens, we know Heckma, he is an absolute stud. Not only running the football, but Pierce Hudgens has gotten a lot more involved as the season goes on in the receiving game as a weapon out of the backfield. But then you got the Denton Geyer Wildcats and Coach John Walsh. And Geyer has a proud history, and it really seems like it all goes with Eli Stowers, that sophomore quarterback. Stowers has not played well the last 2 weeks, and Geyer has lost. How does Eli Stowers play tonight? If he shows up where the lights are brightest and performs, I think Geyer gets the win tonight against Flower Mound. It's the Geyer way, man. Geyer plays their best. We saw it on the road against South Lake Carroll. Yes, they lost that football game, but that was a game nobody thought they'd win. They thought they'd get steamrolled. They had a chance to win it at the end. I know this game's at Flower Mound. This is one that the Jags don't have a lot of playoff experience. Geyer does, this is going to be a real close game. I'll tell you what, Heckma, Geyer will beat Flower Mound tonight.
That's a big
not
time
so
pick.
fast, my
happen.
friend. I
got the pin out and everything.
Man, not so fast. Because listen, the one thing about Flower Mound that I have absolutely been in love with is the discipline that they played with all season. Sophomore quarterback for Geyer has turned into a turnover machine. The last 3 games, he can't turn that on and off either. And so when the lights are brightest, I'm gonna turn it off.
Maybe he learned.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna turn it back on.
He realizes the mistakes that he made. He corrects them, comes back.
Yeah.
They're going to need to run the football. I mean,
Okay.
Cadrick Cobbs is going to need to set the tone for them. But Seth Metter down the football field, Eli Stowers, not only as a passer, but as a runner. I think that's where it's going to be. That combination of Cobbs and Stowers running the football. You've got 2 offenses, I think, that can score a lot of points. But that Geyer defense, I mean, they played well enough to beat both Nelson and Keller Fossil Ridge. That defense, I think, has the ability to force a couple of turnovers against Flower Mound tonight.
Yeah.
Another one of the big things is the fact of how is Stowers going to head up an offense and a playoff run as a sophomore quarterback. That you can never really simulate the playoffs in what is going to happen.
It's a great point
for a young
especially the
quarterback
Texas
like
high school football player.
especially.
Well, and especially when you think about coming in, he's probably coming off 2 of his worst games of the season.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Geyer's
He
coming
is.
in, so it's not like they're coming in feeling great like we thought they were going to be. They're coming in.
But it's not the first time Geyer's faced that adversity. They started the season terribly.
You could say that too.
Absolutely. Great point. But when you said something about Flower Mound's offense and how they go fast, they're like that NASCAR offense, 13 seconds between plays. That means that Geyer defense, which you know is good, is going to have a lot of pressure on them. If they can't get off the field, they're going to be exhausted. And if the Geyer offense and Eli Stowers can't put together drives and that Cobbs in that running game is unable to stay on the field and maintain drives, that Geyer defense is going to get exhausted by the end of that game.
That's true.
And that's the whole point. I think the belief is that Brian Brassel for Flower Mound is, in my opinion, the better coach in this game because he has his team clicking.
No way.
Okay.
There's no way.
Clicking on all cylinders, and he's got
sleeping on the state championships John Walsh has on his mantle?
just slept on him. I just snoozed right then.
He looks so comfy.
That's disrespectful,
I did. And what I'm saying is it's going to show tonight by the way that his offense. You don't have one guy on Flower Mound's team that you can point to that, hey, that's the guy on defense, or this is our guy. This is a team effort by Flower Mound, and I think that is what I'm saying. The execution part of that makes them a better team because they have to all rely on each other. Yeah, we got the names, the Pierce Hudgens, we got those names, the Blake Shorts, but it comes down to them playing collectively as a team, and they've done that all season. We haven't seen Geyer do that. So when I say better coach team, I'm talking about this season and what they've done as far as their execution.
Yeah, and we'll see how that plays
comes down to
itself
players
out.
on the field.
It really does.
That comes down to players on the field.
Oh, so you feel me now, right?
I get what you're saying. I
don't agree. That's okay.
I don't agree. Walsh over Brazel as a better
goodness.
head coach ever. Flower Mound just won their first district title. I think that's disrespectful.
I just did
when it comes to the history of Geyer.
Okay,
and
let's
John Walsh.
go. Let's go to Lake Highlands and Lake Ridge here. We're running out of time here in this first hour. We'll get into some of the 5A ones later, but this is a Lake Ridge team, of course, that gets their quarterback back, a chance to really make a run here and try and get off to a quick start against a Lake Highlands team that, whenever you look at it side by side, is just insuperior right now to the Eagles on that side of the football.
Yeah, I mean, Lake Highlands defensively, it's been their problem all year. Now, last week they were all very opportunistic. They forced 4 turnovers against Richardson. That really propelled them to victory. Now, the one stat that really stuck out to me about Lake Highlands last week, and if they do it again this week, they have 0 chance of winning the football game, and that's they had 15 penalties last week. If they do that against Lake Ridge is a very disciplined team. Chandler Rogers and company will absolutely dominate you. And their defense, like I said, Lake Highlands, if they don't get turnovers, they're in massive trouble because their defense gives up a ton of points. And Chandler Rogers, we know about him, the dual threat guy. I mean, 2,500 yards combined, 24 touchdowns combined. He's the second leading rusher on the team. The dude's incredible, and we haven't even gotten to the rest of that offense. But back to Lake Highlands. Listen, it's all about, can their defense force turnovers? And offensively, they're really, really good. I mean, they're well balanced. They got a senior dual threat quarterback as well. I mean, we got 2 great quarterbacks in this game, dual threat quarterbacks. And for Lake Highlands, it's Jackson Thompson.
Yeah.
Last week, he had 345 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and 100 rushing yards. He's got 1,700 passing yards on the season, 19 touchdowns. He's also accounted for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. He's got a ton of weapons. I mean, Phillips, Whitehead, Thomas, Barrows, Longoria. I mean, but their best weapon is their sophomore, and his name's Mitchell Colson. He's their leading rusher, and he's their leading receiver. He's got 9 touchdowns receiving and 5 touchdowns rushing, and he's thrown the ball for almost 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. The dude is Mr. Everything, and he's only like 14.
I loved that. I love to hear that for Lake Highlands. Take a bow at Lake Highlands.
Coming?
Lake Ridge is going to smoke them tonight. Lake Ridge is going to destroy them.
And they got this. We know about
they
the
got some guy,
quarterback.
Mr. Rogers. He's pretty darn good. But, I mean, they want to share that district to do. I think they got a chance to win this region. That Arlington-Lake Ridge matchup, and we'll see, Guyer and Flower Mound in there could ruin that, but that should be an outstanding matchup if it happens in the regional final.
But the Rogers is obviously their best player, but their running back, DeJuan Jackson, 12 touchdowns, and they got 3 stud receivers. Tamarin Duro is only 5'6", 155 pounds, but he's fast as lightning, and he's got 3 touchdowns.
Well, there's a reason why when Rogers was out, that team was still able to put up wins.
Sure.
And it's because of the supporting cast there. And Lake Ridge has had that for years. You even saw it in the Lake Ridge runs that they had in the past couple years that were derailed by Highland Park's dynasty that they had going on. But overall, this is a Lake Ridge program that's very strong from the ground up, Eric.
No question. And just to talk about the defense for a second, these guys are really, really good. Unlike Lake Highlands, Lake Ridge actually has a good defense, and it all starts with Addison MacArthur and Darius Houston. These 2 guys defensively are awesome. They lead that defense, and that's probably going to be the reason why they absolutely destroy Lake Highlands today.
Yeah, it might not be very close. We'll see what happens there.
Appreciate you,
Let's go down to Region 2 here, 6A Division 2, and really up at the top of it. That's the biggest game that we could look at because Naaman Forest made the playoffs, baby, but now you face Prosper.
Wait, that has to be a typo. They made the
playoffs.
They
made it. They were 0-7 at one point.
0-5.
Mrs. Harrison's at this game.
No.
Painted her face all green.
Wait, they
green and orange.
learned how to score
But
touchdowns.
both teams
at
are
some
green.
point
That's
this year.
that's kind of conflicting, actually.
Incredible, man. Comeback story.
Naaman Forest was probably in the dumpster.
Oh, no, they were. No, not definitely. I found it.
They had dumpster juice on their jerseys.
That's the one team Eric didn't make sound good.
It's true. He can, though. If you give him time, he'll make them sound good. But I tell you what, they have definitely ran into the wrong team tonight. The Prosper Eagles and Keegan Shoemaker. This guy is going to be all over them. You know, and sometimes you can't hide who you are, and it comes out. And I think that Naaman Forest will discover that tonight. Prosper has done a really good job making the transition from 5A to 6A. They were a little bit, I guess they were a little eager to get in there with the Allen Eagles.
Everybody is.
And discovered quite quickly that they had a lot more studying to do before they actually were able to pass that test. But Wayne Anderson, he has been amazing, 1,300 yards on the season and, 16 touchdowns. Naaman is going to try and play spoiler tonight, but guys, it ain't going to happen.
I really don't think so.
It ain't going to
It's not going to happen. Prosper's got, and Prosper, we're talking about teams that are coming. Prosper's maybe coming off one of their best performances against Plano, aside from allowing a late Plano rally offensively. They played phenomenally well against the Wildcats last week, and that was a Plano team that had everything to play for.
Yeah, they had every single thing to play for, and now they've got to play for it again here. Looking back at that bracket, though, Longview Coppers Cove, that's a pretty good matchup.
Area around matchup with Prosper and Longview, though.
Yes, that's going to be a barn burner, and Longview is a team that I think can win the state championship at this level.
I picked them too, brother. I think the Lobos are going to win. To me, they've just been so dominant, and they did play in a pretty competitive district. I mean, we've talked about it with the Rockwalls of the world. Longview is loaded on both sides of the football.
And so that's going to be an interesting matchup. Tomball Memorial and Vandergrift. Vandergrift a favorite in that one, but not by much. That's still a good Memorial team down there in Tomball. Then you got Klein Collins and Eisenhower. There's lots of good games in this Region 2. And we'll go down to the bottom of Region 2 as well. Look at Wiley and McKinney up at the top. McKinney, of course, sneaking in District 9 6A. Sorry about it, Zach. That could be your your Plano Wildcats, excuse me, up at the top there. But nope, that is not the case. They will take on Wiley. Wiley, I guess the best word to describe it is a wily team at the end of the season.
Ammo.
Just kind of figured some things out at the end of the year. force their way into a top seed out of District 10 6A. Temple, Mesquite Horn. Mesquite Horn made the playoffs, guys.
Unbelievable.
How about 0-7? We were joking around about naming fours. Legitimately, Mesquite Horn was 0-7, and they made the playoffs.
It's an impressive feat to be able to walk around and say, yeah, I lost 70% of my games this year, and I still made the playoffs.
But they're red hot,
Beat
man.
that.
They are red hot.
They're red hot with 3 straight wins.
And that's a Temple team that lost 2 of their 3 last games.
Hey, I got a little nugget on this game, by the way, guys. When it comes down to this matchup, Temple, the residents in Temple, Texas, were a little upset with their team blowing the last game of the season because everyone was under the beliefs that they were doing everything to stay out of the way of Longview.
Yes, no, that's exactly what happened. And
that's smart. I'd want to stay out of the way,
station that I work with in Waco is actually the coverage for Temple and the Wildcats.
Okay.
And that's really the thought process. I got text messages all week long asking, did Temple blow this? And because they ended up losing that game to Copperas Cove, but however, that was the thought process behind it. But we did talk to Coach Scott Stewart of the Temple Wildcats later on, and this is pretty interesting. They lost 2 starters on defense in both back-to-back plays in the second quarter.
So 4 guys?
No. They lost one guy each play. Ooh. One guy back-to-back plays, and they're the starters, and they were on crutches on the sideline. And at that point, Coach Stewart, and they've already locked up their playoff spot at this time. And like we talked about, if they would have won, they would play Longview, and if they would have lost, they would play Mesquite Horn.
So he's standing over there with his clipboard, and he's thinking to himself, we're winning this game.
Yes.
So let me take my starters out right here at the third quarter. I got a 15-point lead.
Yes.
And if we win this game, the first game we're going to have is
the Lobos?
Yes.
If we lose, it might be Horn.
Yes.
Who's 3-7.
Exactly.
Although they do have Jermaine Gibbons, who's pretty good, but I'd rather play Horn.
So this is what you do. You take your JV roster and you say, hey, all of you guys, let's get some experience.
Well, that's what they ended up doing. That's what they ended up doing.
Varsity
but it was the reasoning behind it was because of the starters that got hurt early in the game.
No, it's a great
happen.
Justification.
Either way,
it made itself.
You can look at it whichever way you want it to, and it did. It kind of did make itself. It worked out for them in the long run, but it did have a lot of people, especially the Killeen Kangaroos. They were upset. Because
there's another kangaroo out there?
There's another kangaroo, the Killeen Kangaroos.
Lord, I love these teams.
The Killeen Kangaroos were upset because they would have been the 4th playoff team out of that district instead of Copperas Cove, and they instead were left out of the playoffs.
All I can say is Coach Herm Edwards is rolling over in his grave right now.
Playoffs.
Because you play to win the game.
You play to win the game?
You do.
You play to win the freaking game,
postseason
Kyle.
or post-game rant.
But it literally is one of those things they've been talking about, man, and couldn't believe that Temple blew that last game.
It's very controversial.
I can believe it now.
Especially around the Super Syntex area as well. Guys, we've got all the way through 6A in the North Texas ranks here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's time to look at 5A. Division 1 on the way. When we come back, we'll talk about some Division 2 as well. This is the playoff edition of Whataburger Friday Night Stars live from Frisco, Texas. We'll be back in a moment.
Nothing works up my thirst for an ice-cold Pepsi Cola like getting buckets. Whether I'm breaking ankles or breaking hearts.
Hey, Drew.
It always brings the refreshment, and I've been drinking it a long time.
Drew, how old are you anyway, man? Doesn't matter.
Uncle Drew, in theaters, June 29th. The future tastes good.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called FanTag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. FanTag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the FanTag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try FanTag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Well, I sort of made a gaffe the last segment.
Who are you and what's your name?
My name is Eric Chiafalo, and I just want to apologize to Herm Edwards, the entire Edwards family. Really, there's a long lineage of Edwards in really the world, and I'm sorry to all of you for prematurely killing off Coach Herm Edwards. I said he's rolling over in his grave. It was more of tongue-in-cheek. He would be rolling over in his grave had he been, well, not alive anymore. He is alive. He is well. He's actually a head football coach in the college ranks.
At
He's
Arizona
at
State.
Look at that.
I mean, the guy's doing great things right now. I think
he is alive.
He's the oldest coach in college football. Well, actually, besides Bill Snyder. Shout out to Heckma Harrison.
That's true. Oh, there you go.
But so we are allowing grandfathers in college football. Herm Edwards is alive. He's fantastic. And I'm sorry, Herm. You're a great guy. We play to win the game, Herm.
Well,
right?
guys,
We play to win the game.
We'd play to win the game.
That's how we're going to start hour number 2 of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. And man, what a way to do it. And
wow.
Glad you're with us.
It's my second FaceTime apology this year.
Yeah, you just keep saying things. You're talking out your arse.
Man.
Yeah.
Foot, mouth.
Yeah.
foot and mouth disease.
Oh, Kyle Yeoman's here alongside Heckma Harris and Zach Wolchuk and the apologetic Eric Chiafalo. Let's look into Division 1 of the 5A.
It was an apology,
ranks.
not a eulogy.
It was not a eulogy. I didn't say it was a eulogy, did I?
I don't know.
It did seem that way.
No, it's not. But anyways, let's go
Don't write
to
him off yet.
Let's go to the top half of Region 1, Eastwood and Cooper. But we've got some final scores here to talk about for the first time tonight from Thursday night, including a Birdville-Fort Worth-Boswell game that was absolutely nuts. We've got a lot of action and a lot of Thursday games interesting at the top of this Region 1 bracket of 5A Division 1. Grapevine moves on over Crowley 34-14. But most notably, let's talk about this Birdville-Boswell game, because Birdville, a team that was really going into the playoffs with all the momentum on their side, and they almost got knocked off by Boswell last night, and that's a good Boswell team that they almost got snuck up on.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I've been talking a lot about Birdville all season. And this was, when I checked the score on this one, I was like, say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so.
Willis?
This is definitely one of those games I did not believe that Birdville was going to pull this one out. And it took some spectacular play by their defense to stop Fort Worth Boswell, who was all over them from the moment the whistle was blown. Now, Birdville did come out and score 7 points, but after that, guys, it was all Fort Worth. And it took the second half, and listen, they needed every second of the second half to win this game. It came down to my man. I call him the waiter, or I call him the chef. Either way, he's getting you served. My man Stone Earl with the strongest performance tonight of last night. Mixon played strong, but look, man, Boswell was definitely keying in on the run, and they were shutting down everything that he was doing. He only finished with 94 yards on 25 carries, but again, it was a tough sledding for Birdville, but they did pull out the squeaker.
Yeah, they did indeed. And it really got down to the wire and got a little bit dicey at the end because of a 69-yard blocked field goal on the side of Boswell. They returned it for a touchdown. They went for 2 to tie the game, and it did not happen because that Birdville defense, a gutsy effort from the Hawks. And the fact that they were able to win that ball game off of a 2-point conversion that was failed from Boswell makes this even one more entertaining. It's a great way to kick off the playoffs in the North Texas area, but also the fact that you look at this Birdville team, they can win it with the points, they can win it on the defensive side as well.
No doubt, and we've talked a lot about that Birdville offense, but for them to be able to get a key stop when they needed it in the plays that defense stepped up and made, good sign for a young Birdville team. We've talked a lot about that underclassmen really stepping up for them, and a big night for District 4 5A because we talked about Grapevine and Cade Rhodes. We talked about Den Ryan moving on too. Those three teams all getting first-round victories Thursday night.
And we'll talk about Grapevine, or we'll talk about Ryan here in a little bit. Let's talk about that Grapevine game. First off, Birdwell and Boswell, Birdville moving on. Of course, the winner of Eastwood and Cooper will face the Hawks in the second round. But let's look at Grapevine. They had the 34-14 win over Crowley last night. This game was dominated by Grapevine, and it's really been a strong ending of the season for Grapevine, and they continue that, especially with Cade Rhodes, over 430 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in the win. Just an offensive explosion, and they got up 27-0 before the halftime break, and then 34-0 later, and then that was really it.
Yeah, do I need to say anything else about this game, really? I mean, it's you pretty much sealed it up, 34-14, but like you said, it's Cade Rhodes. He had some really tough games. That Denton Ryan game was one of the telling games for Cade Rhodes because everyone thought before Denton Ryan got an opportunity to play Birdville that would be a stumbling block for Denton Ryan. Nope, it was more like a small blip, and they rolled right over it. But Cade Rhodes didn't look good in that game. He came right back, got a W versus R.L. Turner, 56-0, and so got things rolling. But last night he was, man, he couldn't miss on any of his throws. 437 yards, like you said, 3 touchdowns, and they dominated last night.
Yeah, and they will take on Amarillo Caprock in the area round on Friday, November 23rd, 7 p.m. in Sweetwater at, guess what the name of the stadium is? The Mustang Bowl. Nice little stadium in Sweetwater. Actually, one of the cool classic stadiums you'll ever see in Texas high school football. That's where that game will be played between Caprock and Grapevine. Should be a fun one there. Let's look at the bottom half of that Region 1 bracket. Up at the top, you've got Azle, Colleyville Heritage. This is a matchup. It's not highlighted, so we're not going to go deep into this. But Heckma, is this a Colleyville Heritage team that can move on to that second round? Azle's a good ball club.
Yeah, Azle is tough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these teams, and what you find out when you have these teams that you don't have a lot of experience with, a lot of these kids are country strong in these small areas, and you run into, they might be a little team. It's like 80 of them, boy, but they play together as a unit, and they are strong as ox, and they will put it on you. So I just think that this is not the team that they wanted to draw in the first round.
Yeah, not at all. And if they move on, they'll face either Coronado or Chapin there in the second side, or second level, I should say, of the bracket. But how about Denton Ryan last night? Talk about country strong. They might not be country strong, but they're just strong, period.
It's just some big athletes, man.
Really,
that's what Ryan has. And Drew Sanders didn't even play in this one, boys.
No, what?
He didn't play, had a hip injury, and I think it was a coaching decision. They decided we probably don't need him to play Fort Worth Brewer because we know exactly how to be Brewer. They've now done it 3 straight years in the first round, and they've gone ahead and outscored them 161-54 in those 3 first-round meetings. So Ryan on cruise control again, 65-24. The defense forces 4 turnovers, and Amani Bailey had an outstanding game for them on the ground. And Seth Hennigan throws a touchdown there. He had 4 touchdown passes on the night, but Amani Bailey, 146 yards and a touchdown. 4 different runners scored for Denton Ryan. The only negative, if you're going to find one for this Raider team, second straight week they fumbled on special teams. They fumbled the opening kickoff against Birdville. They got a 3-and-out on offense, and they fumbled a punt return to give Brewer the football back. So that's really it. But otherwise, this is a big, strong, fast, athletic Denton Ryan team. The question will be when they get deeper into the postseason and they're playing against legit competition like a Highland Park or a Lufkin, how does Seth Hennigan play at quarterback and Drew Sanders' health moving forward? I think he'll be okay. Just needed a week off. If it was a game against, say, a Highland Park, he probably would have played. But a get-well game for Drew Sanders.
Much-needed improvement by the Hennigan brothers at quarterback, and they have shown it. At the beginning of the season, had a lot of doubt for them in the way that they have their offense clicking. But again, this is a classic example of clicking at the right time, and this is peaking at the right time, basically, and it's happening.
Yeah, the Ryan offense has certainly improved. There was a huge question mark early in the season. They've steadily gotten a little bit better. They implement a little wildcat sometimes. When Drew Sanders is playing, if they need to, they'll go to him and do some things. So the Hennigan brothers have definitely grown, and that whole Ryan offense has grown. And we know that defense is one of the tops in the area.
Yeah, special is really the word we've used to describe them all year long, and that's exactly what the Ryan Raiders have been over the past couple of years and what they continue to be heading into the 2018 playoffs as well. Let's go down to Region 2, and guys, I think out of all of the brackets across the entire area, I think this might be one of the strongest there because you've got Timberview and the Colony. That's an incredible game up at the top. The Colony, of course, winning that District 5, 5A Division 1, had teams like Independence in it, other teams involved in there like Centennial and all the Frisco schools all in there. But the Colony comes out undefeated out of that district. Then you got Magnolia West and Sherman, the defending 2-time state champion Highland Park Scots and Independence. That's a rematch of a 2016 first-round matchup, which saw Highland Park win 45-3. And then you've also got Mesquite Poteet and College Station. Oh, by the way, College Station, the defending state champions.
No big deal, right?
No big deal. Seth McGowan has his work cut out for him tonight as well. So let's start with the Colony and Mansfield Timberview. This is a matchup that really, at the start of the year, we may not have said, hey, this is a good game on the horizon, and that 5-5 record for Mansfield Timberview might be a little bit distorted just because of the district that they had to come out of Mansfield. But you look at the way that they were able to end the season, had the win over Bryan Adams. Of course, they did run into Highland Park, which they lost 42-7, and then Sunset they ended up beating 71-9. So overall, just an impressive Timberview Wolves into the season, but not nearly as impressive as the Colony have been on that offensive side. 429 yards per game, over 40 points. They're going to put up a lot of points in this matchup, no doubt about it. Now let's move on to Highland Park and Independence here. The HP Scots, of course, looking to win their 3rd straight championship. I actually picked them to go through this bracket. Of course you did. No, I really did. I just don't see anybody right now that can beat Highland Park.
I think Lufkin's got a chance. It's a tough game.
I really don't think so.
I picked Highland Park to win it as well, but I do think Lufkin has a chance to beat them.
They do have a chance. If anybody has a chance, it's Lufkin.
No love for Poteet.
And a potential state championship game against Hutto. Hutto's a really good squad.
Yeah, I did think about Hutto. That's actually the championship game I picked was Highland Park and Hutto. And I also love that the Hutto Hippos are very good at football, which I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Man, that'd be great if we could get a state matchup of the Hippos versus the Kangaroos.
And have live animals in studio? Yes, I'm thinking the same thing.
Just guest animals in studio.
Are you not an animal person?
Hippos?
Yeah, it's something about insurance, and something's telling me that shouldn't happen.
Heckma's more of a water buffalo.
Jerry's cutting the check.
It's fine. Whatever.
Well,
okay.
This is the thing, man. I looked at the bracket that Highland Park was in, and it looked tough.
It is tough.
It doesn't look like Highland Park is just going to walk their way
the Colony's
to
really
AT&T.
good. Yep. We might be sleeping on the Colony. The Colony could be a team.
And
it really could be.
And that's the thing. We went right by him, but I mean, Mikey Harrington and those boys got something to say as
Keith
well.
Miller.
So
Miles Price.
Yeah, Miles Price.
That would honestly be maybe one of the funner matchups of the season. When you just think about the offensive firepower.
Well, and in round 2 with Poteet in College Station. I mean,
no question.
That's a split 'em game too. Whichever way you want to go there, both those teams.
So I just thought that it was a lot tougher. I think that Highland Park last year, I mean, they had a tough trek to state last year, but this year is going to be even tougher.
I agree 100%. They'll have to earn it to go 3.
The biggest thing on paper, you look at the matchups with these teams, Highland Park and the Colony, and really whoever Highland Park's going to go up against, you would probably still say Highland Park has an advantage. However, I do agree. I think this is a tough schedule back-to-back weeks to try and keep that going. If they're unable to do so, then they're behind the 8 ball, and they may have a slip-up one week, and that's all they need to be out of the playoffs. And so I could see that happening. I just think from a paper perspective, I can't predict where that's going to happen because a slip up. And I just think on paper, Highland Park's the best team in this district, and so or in this division.
They've got the best quarterback.
They definitely do.
That's kind of what tilted the edge for
me. Best coach
and one of the best defenses too.
So I mean, come on.
They're banged up on the defense. Miles, let us know about that.
They are a little banged up.
They don't have the best defense when they play Ryan. But they've always had an answer for Ryan.
That's true. They have always had an answer for Ryan. Let's go to Poteet and College Station. Of course, another game that really is an exciting matchup. Defending state champions in College Station and the Cougs taking on Seth McGowan and Poteet. This one in Mesquite, so maybe a chance at Mesquite Memorial Stadium to win this game. But I still think there's a chance that College Station comes up and wins this football game. Poteet's got to play well on that defensive side of the football.
Yeah, they really do. And for Poteet, I mean, we know all about Seth McGowan at running back. This dude is one of the best in the area. And Cam Lampkin is a do-it-all kind of player for them, offense, defense, Dalton Dale at quarterback. I love Poteet and them as a football team, but it just scared me, that track meet that they ultimately lost with John Tyler a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And when you look at a College Station team that can also put up some points, they've been ranked in the state top 10 rankings really all year, defending 5A Division II champions. They know what it takes to win and to win a state championship against a Poteet team that I don't know that they've got that in them. I think they're a good team. This is going to be a competitive football game, but experience-wise, credibility-wise, you might kind of just give the edge to College Station a little bit.
Well, and the thing about it is that a lot of these area teams, these college stations, they don't have a lot of experience with them. And I tell you, you have a team that show up with 50 guys that are, like I call them, country strong guys, and they play you from whistle to whistle. And this is going to be one of those games as well.
Yeah, really. It's going to be a tough physical football game, but also at the same time, there's going to be a lot of points put up. I really think that. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Poteet's going to have to out-boat race a Cougars team that is good on defense, but can also put up some points on their end as well. Let's go down to the bottom half of Region 2 in the 5A Division I brackets, and John Tyler, Tom Ball up at the top, but Lancaster, Wakeland, and then you've got Lufkin, McKinney North, Lone Star, Mansfield Legacy. How about the matchup potential of Lufkin and Frisco Lone Star in that second round? If those two teams take care of business, that would be an incredible matchup. Lufkin, of course, like Zach said, that's a team that has a chance to go and win it all out of this region, out of any region, they could have a chance to win it all. But let's start with Lancaster and Wakeland. This is a Lancaster team that lost late in the season to Highland Park in emphatic fashion. 39-14 was that final score, and then they were able to kind of get right the week after that, heading into this matchup with Wakeland with a 49-28 win over the Woodrow Wilson Wildcats as well.
Yeah, look, Lancaster, athletic, strong for Wakeland. This is a Wakeland team we've talked about. Besides their jerseys, they're a very competitive team. They play a lot of close, grinded-out kind of games. But I don't know. This is one for some reason I'm kind of just giving the edge to Lancaster. I think that defensively they're going to overwhelm Wakeland with their speed, and on offense, I think they can hit some home run balls.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good case.
Yeah, I think the skill positions. I mean, Lancaster, we know their quarterback's not incredible, but he's good enough to beat a Wakeland team, that's for sure. And their skill positions are off the chart. You mentioned the speed on defense. Highland Park struggled with that speed on defense for a second. Just for a second, Wakeland's probably going to be in trouble against them.
Yeah, and if Wakeland does stumble, then it's going to be very quick, and Lancaster's going to try and pull away or have a chance to pull away in those latter parts. Let's go down to Lone Star and Mansfield Legacy. Man, this is such a good matchup for basically teams on paper entering the season. This is a chance to really be a classic. It's just unfortunate with the injuries that Legacy's had to deal with. Lone Star, on the other hand, a special defense, but Legacy's still been able to put up good numbers there as well.
Yeah, it's been all about their quarterback and the momentum that he's gotten going into. Julian Larry was struggling at the beginning of the season. I mean, it just wasn't clicking for him. But he had found Mims, and these guys connected, and it seems like everything is all good in Legacy land, Lone Star land right now. But we all know what it's about, and it's the things that travel with you when you go from city to city, and it's that defense and that running game, and that's what Lone Star brings to the table. Stingy, aggressive defense. They've played this way all season long. The only losses that they have are to a really, really good Colony team and to Highland Park, but they didn't give up a whole lot. All of those games, even the games that they lost, it took last minute things to happen to win that game. And literally, I mean, the bracket that they're in is so tough. And if they come out of that, boy, that is going to be one battle-tested team. They will have a lot of faith. I mean, and you're looking at a defense for Lone Star riddled with juniors and sophomores. So that only says that they're just going to be just as good next year as well.
Yeah, bright future. And Lone Star, we know about the defense. Larry's improved tremendously at the quarterback position. But I want to give some credit to Legacy. I mean, finding themselves here.
How about that defense?
They've been incredible.
Really
yeah,
good.
They've been really good.
They've won 5 in a row since losing to Highland Park. Everyone just wants to poo-poo Legacy. This is going to be a dogfight game, man. This is not a just move Lone Star over to the next round at all. This Bronco team with Caleb King has stepped up in the absence of Jadalon Catalan. I think a lot of people just kind of turned around and said, Legacy's done once that Catalan injury happened.
Yeah.
No, this has been a Legacy team that showed a lot of heart and a lot of grit.
Nobody's poo-pooing.
I feel like you're poo-pooing them.
And I did this way.
I'm so uncomfortable saying that word on air.
Poo-pooing them, Heckma. You're all over Lone Star. You're just poo-pooing the Legacy Broncos.
Let's just talk about the factor that game starts at 7:30, so we could get the end of that game and talk about that whenever it gets to that point. But we're going to take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, we'll run down 5A Division II and the 4A divisions as well as we round out hour number 2 when we get you set for kickoff at 7 o'clock. This is Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Poo-pooing them, Heckma.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
football fans, check this out. It's called FanTag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. FanTag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the FanTag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try FanTag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
In a world where a young family embarks on an incredible journey, a son gets lost in an epic film. A father wills his team to victory, while a mother tries to talk to her daughter, who is posting online at a rate she has never seen until now. With high-speed Wi-Fi, free live TV and movies, there's something for everyone. Download the American app, and the best in entertainment travels with you.
Back here from the Star in Frisco. That's just down the hall from where we are recording currently. Dallas Cowboys getting set to travel to Atlanta here in the next coming hours to take on the Atlanta Falcons up in Georgia. Inside this beautiful facility in Frisco, Texas. Glad you're with us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. I want to give a quick shout out. Just got a text from a buddy of mine, Art Wellborn. He is the brother or the son-in-law of John Morris, voice of the Baylor Bears. Give a quick shout out to him. Great buddy of mine throughout my time down in Waco. So Art, thank you for watching, loyal viewer of the show. So moving on from there, let's go into 5A Division II. And we went through 6A, Divisions 1 and Division 2, 5A, Division 1. Let's look at the top part of the bracket for Division 2, Region 1, starting with Parkland and Irvin. Not a lot of North Texas teams here. I guess you could classify Wichita Falls, Ryder. They're a little bit out of our area, but a good game between Ryder and Wyatt there to kind of look at. Hanks and Andrus as well. A couple good games in that in that side of the bracket. But now as we go down to the bottom half of Region 1, here's some teams that we definitely are looking forward to. Justin Northwest, home of the fighting Eric Chiafalos, making the playoffs, but not only making the playoffs, but winning District 4 5A Division 2 and storming their way to a first-round matchup with Wichita Falls here.
And hats off to them, because that's just a brutal – we talk about District of Doom. I mean, that's what Northwest had to face this year. I mean, you run through Fort Worth, all the Polytech schools, I mean, it's a tough thing to just go 8-2 in that district. I mean, that's a tough thing to pull off. And the fact that they did it, hats off to them, first in the district, putting up video game numbers and doing it against those teams, man, that's just incredible. Their offense, I said video game-like numbers. I meant it. Their junior quarterback, Austin Ahmad, 2,000 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, but their best player is a Montana State commit. It's their running back, senior Demarius Hosey. This dude, over 1,300 yards on the ground, 19 touchdowns. He's absolutely their best player. They got a ton of receivers. They got 4 guys with at least 500 yards and 5 touchdowns receiving.
Ballin'.
I mean, these guys are just tearing it up.
Yeah,
man.
And they're just getting all that time.
And going up against that top flight competition, you got to love it. On the Wichita Falls side of things, listen, first playoff berth since 2004. They're 4-6 coming in here. Now, offensively, Anthony Vargas at quarterback, 2,700 passing yards, 24 touchdowns. I'm gonna say it now, gentlemen. This is going to be the highest scoring game of the night. This is going to be one of those 50-something to 40-something games. This is going to be a lot of points. Vargas, he's got 3 receivers with at least 40 catches, 600 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, these guys spread the wealth, tons of yards. His top receiver, A.J. Bird, 65 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 12 touchdowns. They're just putting up insane amount of numbers. It's going to be a lot of offense. Hopefully, my Texans get it done. Shout out to Tammy at the front desk, by the way. Yeah. Northwest by 10.
Okay. All right. That's pretty decent.
That's their first district title in 30 years. Quite the accomplishment for the Texans.
Yeah, definitely so. And a little bit under the radar, even despite that.
Yeah, despite the crazy hard district. I don't know how they flew under, but they managed it, and now they're here, and we're not talking about them. They're not making headlines, but they're getting it done. 8-2. There's going to be 100 points scored in this game.
100 points. That's a high over-under. Yeah, I was about to say combined.
Moses
Northwest will score about
75 in the student section.
Oh, that's true. I do remember.
Oh, that was the best moment of the season.
That was pretty fun. Let's go to Region 2 for 5A Division 2. Starting up at the top with Aledo and the Bearcats getting a win last night, 48-13. Not even close over Seagoville. They will take on the winner of Kaufman and Lovejoy. If Lovejoy ends up making it into the second round and getting a win over Kaufman, that might be a high-scoring matchup with Aledo on the horizon. But I do really want to look into really the Bearcats and the season they've had. Are they by far the favorites? I know I predicted them to go all the way to the state championship and win it this season. Are they by far the favorites to go and win a state championship?
About by far. There's the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears looming in the regional final.
Coach Todd and company.
Which will be quite
the Bears.
But no, Chase McClellan and company there.
What's his last name again?
McClellan.
McClellan. I got it.
Yeah, there's an L in there.
Don't forget it.
He's pretty darn good. And then one of the many Bishop brothers still running the ship there at quarterback for Aledo. So they're a well-oiled machine. They could very well go ahead and win another state championship.
You got them?
I picked Sock.
Okay, good.
Well, let's talk about that Sock team because they're next on our list with a game tonight against Everman. And South Oak Cliff, of course, is a team that ended up undefeated throughout the course of the regular season, had the coolest helmets by far with the Golden Bears and the special defense that they had for Coach Todd down there with South Oak. I just can't
South Oak Cliff.
South Oak Cliff. I'm just flabbergasted by the total defense.
5 points allowed.
Yeah. Well, 5 points allowed and then underneath 100 yards per game given up.
Yeah.
That's
guys,
unbelievable.
I spoke with Coach Jason Todd last night at length about this matchup and about what they were going to do in the playoffs. And, man, he is so meticulous about every round. He's not overlooking these guys. He is so worried about discipline for his team tonight and them playing with their heads in the game and not getting thrown off by anything. He's had experience with good teams going into the playoffs and losing their cool. He doesn't want that to happen tonight because he knows he has all of the athletes on his side. Look, South Oak Cliff should make a run. I don't see anything stopping them. The one team that could be in their way, and Coach Todd said it, and he mentioned them a few times, is Aledo. I mean, I said, well, are you looking ahead? Are you looking ahead to that matchup? Are you looking? I know the road leads through them.
They know exactly what's going on. Last week we had Jared Hannon, one of our reporters at Frisco and Lovejoy, and they'll probably play Frisco. Well, they will. I mean, Frisco won last night, so if they win, they'll play Frisco in the next round. And he had the SOC coaches were next to him up in the press box and said, well, who do you guys think is the best team in 5A? And they looked over at him, us, and you can quote us on that.
Wow.
They're very, very confident over there at South Oak Cliff, and they should be.
Yeah. And 5 points allowed on defense. Coach Jason Todd has even said, he's like, this season it's been a lot made about the Duncanville Panther defense because they've only given up 3.7 yards. And that's good. But no one's talking about my defense, and I have a really, really good defense as well.
Unbelievable defense.
So it's one of those years where it's like you got the one team that's having the most spectacular defensive numbers being put up, and now SOC is doing the same thing. Oh, yeah, they're 0.3% behind Duncanville with those numbers, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is absolutely unreal what that defense has been able to do. But you mentioned that just very briefly. Let's look at that Frisco and Sulphur Springs game last night. The winner being Frisco in a really dominating fashion. 2 turnovers for Sulphur Springs, sunk them early, and they had no chance to catch up, even despite having over 340 yards of total offense. So Frisco and the Raccoons just continuing that hot streak that they had at the end of the season, kind of finishing strong, and now they continue that into the bi-district round as well. They will be in the area round. This game was at the Star last night and really was fun from the get-go to talk about. And I know, Hannon, you talked about him being at the game. Mallory Hartley was there as well. And just it's been a fun couple of oh, well, we got something in the background. A little bit of the highlights going on from last night. But with that being said, Frisco's a team that's kind of under the radar in terms of offense and what they've been able to do on that offensive side of things.
Well, they still can't pass the ball. I mean, they won the game with only throwing for 28 passing yards, so there's still question marks there. Now, granted, they run the ball incredibly well, but you're not going to win many games, especially in the playoffs, only throwing for 28 passing yards.
I was about to say, is it almost necessary to pass the football? And they had 21 points in that fourth quarter in order to get themselves to a position to win. Do you have to run or to pass the football in order to win games nowadays in Texas high school football?
Well, when you get at this point in the playoffs, I mean, unless you're just an absolute dominant force of running the ball and your defense is incredible, I think you've got to be able to put up more than 28 yards. You don't have to be the Colony throwing up a ton of, but you got to be throwing for
respectable
over 100 yards. I mean, that's not a lot to ask.
I mean, we've seen the Euless Trinities of the world go ahead and just that grinded out run, play good
that's
defense.
The anomaly.
But
that's a tradition.
They do have the ability to throw the football as well when they need to. For Frisco right now, they're showing that they're kind of inept on that. And let's be real, if they're playing South Oak Cliff in the next round, it's not going to matter.
Well, I was going to ask about that matchup-wise. Is this a matchup that you look at South Oak Cliff and Frisco and say Frisco's going to try and keep that, I don't know, keep the South Oak Cliff defense tired at times, keep them on the football field, and maybe wear them down by going straight at them from a running?
Yeah, there's no default on this, and what's going to happen is, the Golden Bears are going to be all over them. That's just the style of defense that they've played. But make no mistake about it, what South Oak Cliff does on offense is incredible. They have a kid, Davis, who is lightning quick. He's a state qualifier in the 100 and 200. When this kid touched the ball in those RPO and that, he hits that seam so fast, and he is out of there. And so everybody talks a lot about the defense of South Oak Cliff, but what they do on offense is just as tremendous.
Yeah, and for that South Oak Cliff defense, if they come into the game against a team like Frisco, who already comes into the game offensively one-dimensional, that South Oak Cliff defense is just going to absolutely eat them alive.
Yeah, it really could be, and that's a game that could be out of hand quickly in the area around, but South Oak Cliff does have to get past Everman first, which we don't expect to be an issue. But you still got to get the job done.
Got to get it done.
Got to get it from week to week. Got to figure it out. But that should be a fun matchup, Frisco and South Oak Cliff, if South Oak Cliff's able to take advantage of a win over Everman. Let's go down to the bottom half of that Region 2 bracket in Division 2 of 5A. Starting up at the top, we'll see the game that is here at the Ford Center. We'll have some highlights from this later in the overtime segment. That'll start at 9 o'clock. On Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Vimeo. But Reedy and Ennis, and my goodness,
Foskey.
This is a good football game, guys. Ennis is not a bad team, of course, led by Coach Harrell. I was actually at their stadium last night calling Connolly and I forgot the other team's name already, but Connolly's the team that ended up winning. But it was at Lion Memorial Stadium last night, and Ennis was out there, and they were very confident. They were practicing as I showed up at the stadium last night, and I could hear Coach Harrell from the parking lot. No lie. I could hear him from the parking lot before I was walking in, talking to his team, and they're fired up about a chance to come to Frisco, come to the Star, and try and knock off a good Frisco Reedy team tonight.
I think Reedy just absolutely dominates them. We've been talking about Reedy all season. They were kind of under the radar for a while. They're one of the most...
Not anymore.
Not anymore, but they're one of the most well-balanced teams when you look at their offense and their defense. We know about Foskey at quarterback, but when you're putting up 40-plus a game, you only give up 13 points, less than 200 yards of total defense. I mean, these guys... Reedy is just one heck of a team. Ennis, a young team, still trying to find their way offensively. 26 points a game. Remember, they used to run the old wishbone kind of triple option offense. This year, they're starting to break into that new age with Harrell, and it's just going to be way too tough against that Reedy defense.
And junior quarterback Dylan Santos leads the team in passing, of course, but he's also leading the team in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns.
James Harris is a beast at running back, though, for Ennis. I mean, that'll probably be their best chance. If they can have success running the football. They beat Corsicana a couple weeks ago, a game no one picked them to win, but I agree with you. I think Reedy is too explosive on offense.
Yeah, Reedy to me is like Flower Mound. They're that team that came into the season. Nobody expected a lot from them, and Jake Foskey is just taking it to the whole district. It's going to be hard to beat Reedy simply because they play so well as a team. And Ennis, again, that game last week versus Corsicana, nobody picked them, but that was a big game for them to get them to this point.
This game kicks off at 7 o'clock, so as soon as we're off air. What was that?
I guess Kyle did pick them.
Pick who?
You did pick Ennis.
I did not pick. Oh, I did do that. Yes, I did.
No, you didn't pick them. You don't even remember.
Trying to give you credit, bro.
It was Heckma.
I did pick Ennis to beat. Yes, I did. Okay, but anyways,
Heckma definitely didn't go out on a limb.
The winner of this game will take on the winner of Red Oak and Midlothian. Red Oak, of course, a dominant team. We talk about Reedy being dominant. I know Red Oak has that one blemish on their schedule, but 43 points per game compared to 7 points per game. That's about as good of a split statistically as you can have on the offensive and defensive side as well.
Yeah, the blemish that they have is South Oak Cliff.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's not a bad blemish.
It's a beautiful
They're the
blemish.
only team that really played with South Oak Cliff in that district. They lost by 10. But these are two teams that used to be in the same district. So we look at a lot of these first-round games, and it's teams like driving from 2 hours away. These teams have some familiarity with each other. It's the first playoff meeting for both schools since 2012. So we'll see. I mean, Red Oak is probably one of the best turnarounds in the state this year. When you look at from what they did last year at 2-8 to 9-1 this year, and their only loss to South Oak Cliff, who we're picking some of us to win the state championship. They've had an outstanding year, and for Midlothian, also 8-2. They're a team that's also, we talk a lot about these teams that struggle to throw the ball. Midlothian's one. They're a run-first kind of team, and they've got 6 different running backs that all have over 265 yards or 5 or more touchdowns. So for Red Oak, if you can find a way to shut down the Midlothian run game, you're looking pretty good to win this one.
Yeah, you could. I think Red Oak's going to kind of cruise in this football game. I think Midlothian's a good team, but I think Red Oak cruises easy at Red Oak Stadium. But let's go down to the winner of, or actually, we'll skip over Corsicana and Lake Dallas. Let's go to Centennial and Kimball. Kimball, a team also out of Dallas ISD that's kind of under the radar a little bit, out of that 6-5A Division II. 8-2 record for Kimball. They've been good all season long. Well, now they come up against Burleson Centennial and the Spartans, 9-1. This is a good football game as well. 2 teams evenly matched, at least on the stat sheet, going into this one.
Yeah, man, 2 really good defenses coming into this game, and this is the first home game for Burleson Centennial or home playoff game in the school history. So nice. That's exciting. They haven't won a playoff game. They make the playoffs seemingly every single year, but they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They actually coming off a bye week, so they had a week of rest coming into this week. So you wonder how that plays. Are they rested and feeling good and fresh, or are they coming in a little rusty? But they win with great defense. They take care of the ball. Kerlock at quarterback. He's a nice dual threat guy. He manages the game, but offensively they want to get it to their running back, Jalen Jackson. He's their workhorse. They run the ball. They play good defense. Kimball, similar deal. I mean, when you look back to last year, they kind of stunned Woodrow Wilson in the first round of the playoffs, hoping to do a similar thing this year. Offensively, they want to get it to Cortavius Smith. He's their workhorse at running back, 13 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. They got a dual threat quarterback in Jamel McWilliams. He can run the ball probably better than he passes the ball. It's 2 teams that mirror each other a little bit. They want to run the ball and play good defense. Which team's going to do it? Burleson's at home. It gives them a little bit of the advantage, but this should be a fun one. Slugfest, kind of grind it out style playoff matchup.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's going to conclude 5A for us at the Division II level. Now let's go to 4A real quickly. 4A Division I. We'll look at some of the brackets here as we get down to Region 2. First, we'll start with Region 1, just kind of look on that side of things. And we've got a lot of teams that are a little bit outside of our area, but Seminole, Favens 42-7 was that final score last night as Seminole gets the job done. They'll play the winner of Canyon and Gainesville, 2 good teams there on that side of the 4A Division I bracket. And then we'll go down to the bottom half of Region 1. Decatur plays tonight against Dumas there. Andrews, St. I don't even know how to say that second one, but it doesn't matter because Andrews moves on 57-6. Then you've also got Mountain View and Lakeview at the bottom. Now let's go to Region 2 here.
Don't sleep on Hershey. The Hershey Huskies, man.
Oh, okay.
Hershey's good.
Are they really? Okay.
They are really good.
Well,
Top 10. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you've got La Vega. That's a top 5 team inside the 4A Division I team out of Waco. They take care of Lake Worth, and they take care of them quickly, 61-0 in the bi-district round. But now they've got a matchup with either Alvarado or Melissa. And this is an interesting matchup between these 2 squads because Melissa, coming out of really one of the toughest districts, if not the number 1 district with Argyle, Salina, Anna, Paris, teams like that. Melissa was able to work their way out with that 7-3 record, but now they've got to come up against another good team in Alvarado, and really both sides evenly matched again on that side of things, and you can credit Melissa. We talk about the Allen hangover after teams losing to Allen and not playing well after that. After they took a 58-21 beatdown at the hands of the Argyle Eagles in that district play, they were able to take care of Sanger 68-7, which also has that same colored Indian spear logo as Alvarado does, just by the way. And then Melissa did take care of Paris North Lamar, too. This is a good Melissa team, and we'll see if they can take care of business tonight. in by-district action. And then we'll look down at the bottom half of the bracket. We've got a couple more teams to talk about here with Argyle and Carrollton Ranchview. We've also had really Benbrook and China Springs, another Waco team that was pretty good. China Spring in that matchup. But let's look at this Argyle team. Just absolutely incredible. Talked about how they've just dismantled some of the best teams in all of 4A. Are they the favorite in this region, or in at least the 4A Division I ranks?
I think they've got to be the favorite in the region. I mean, we talked about a matchup possibly with Hershey down the road, but I've got Argyle winning state this year. I think they've just been so good. They haven't lost a first-round game since 06. Hogaboom. Dylan Carter at receiver, setting records this year for school records for touchdowns between the two of them. And then, of course, Tito Bice running the football as well. Just a three-headed monster. Not to mention they've got maybe the best offensive line in the area and a stout defense. If Ranchview's got a chance, it's all about Trey Carter at running back. But this is an Argyle team. They have smoked everyone they've played.
Yeah, they really have. No doubt about it. And Argyle, it looks like that's a team that's gotten better as the season has gone on as well. They were good at the start of the year, but they've been even better really down the stretch. Now let's go to one of the best games of the night last night. And there was a lot of controversy around this. Heck, I know you have some tidbits on this. But a 1-point win for the Salina Bobcats, 35-34 over really the darling Wilmer Hutchins Eagles. Man, this was a good football game. Hutchins led this early. Salina was able to storm back and get the job done despite 3 turnovers on their side of things.
Man, look at the penalty differential.
Yeah, that is the one thing. I tell you what, I'm going to start with this. Kyle Douglas Jr., a junior quarterback for Wilmer Hutchins. Look, the kid has nothing to hold his head down for because he definitely played lights out last night. But it just came down to Salina, their coach Bill Elliott. The way that he schemed this last night, versus Wilmer Hutchins was amazing. He looked to his running back, Logan Point, last night. He played his heart out. The kid basically was playing ball.
Look at this. Look at this man. Run. Look at that run.
He's a big boy
push
run.
Too.
Yeah.
Logan Point, get out the way.
Logan Point, I'm telling you guys, they played ball control. We were talking earlier, and that's my man, Kyle Douglas Jr. He had a great game last night. But, literally, when you have a running game and you can play ball control and you can keep that hot offense sitting over there waiting to drinking, Kool-Aid or whatever they were drinking last night.
I love Kool-Aid during games, man.
But the whole thing is that they were waiting to get into the game, the whole game. I mean, because literally Salina was just ball control, taking over the clock, and they had to strike just like that. It came down to a last possession for Wilmer Hutchins. Guys, the penalties killed them last night. The unsportsmanlike penalties, the bonehead discipline plays, and I think that's what Coach Jason Todd was worried about with his team, because I'm telling you, if Wilmer Hutchins sees Salina second, third game of the season, they smoke them. But in a winner-takes-all game, they just came unraveled. Everybody on the sidelines did as well. So it's a horrible loss for them, but man, they have got to be kicking themselves for just playing undisciplined defense and playing undisciplined ball last night.
Yeah, tough loss for Wilmer Hutchins. A good season, though, for the Eagles. Yeah. It just falls short. It's a shame to see that one come to an end. But Salina's been the team that's been consistent. Playoff perennials.
24 of the last 25 years, they've won at least one playoff game.
That's how it goes. Sometimes the luck goes your way in streaks like that, and it definitely did that as well. That's going to do it for our rundown of the brackets, but I do have some other finals that we do want to get to. Life Waxahachie, of course, they had a pretty decent season as well. Got it to the playoffs, and they just had a bad luck of the draw. They came up against Carthage last night. 49-24 was that final score. Carthage takes care of Life Waxahachie. Pittsburgh takes down Nevada Community 42-7. Texarkana Pleasant Grove moving on to play the Connolly Cadets. They'll play, they ended up beating Roosevelt last night 56-12 was that final score. Kennedale, and a good Kennedale team, taking down a good Brownswood team too. 58-20 was that final score. Emphatic there. And then we just talked about Salina over Wilmer Hutchins. Guys, we've now done our job. Pre-game is over with. Guess what?
What?
It's time to kick off some playoff action here on Friday Night Stars. We'll be back at 9 o'clock, and this is going to be a lot of fun. We are going to do some predictions. Usually we do predictions as a part of the show. We're going to record that, and we're going to put it on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and then also maybe a little bit on YouTube. We'll
Go
talk
to our
about
social medias, man. It's
Go
some
follow
extra
it.
content.
It definitely is. Friday_stars on Twitter. You've also got Friday Night Stars _ on Instagram. We'll put it on there as well, so everybody can look at the predictions. We got to settle a score on this end of the table. That far side, Zach and Heckma got to figure some things out.
Wait, we don't start with a clean slate since playoff times? We're not all
No,
0-0?
that's what the brackets are for. No.
Okay,
no
gotcha.
clean slate, so you and I don't catch a break there.
I'd have given you a break, but
no, that's not going to happen.
The boss says no.
With all of this being said, guys, what's the most exciting matchup for you this week of by-district action? Eric, we'll start with you.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, I know it's tough.
Where do we
you on the spot.
start? Guys, I guess, I mean, I know I said I don't necessarily believe in Geyer with the way they've come in here, but that Flower Mound Geyer game, probably game of the week.
That's it for me. Yeah.
Is it really?
Big time.
And tomorrow's South Lake and Coppell game.
That is going to be a really good one, too.
We'll
talk about that in the overtime show as well.
What did I just
He just takes our stuff.
He just said one game.
He couldn't be a homer and pick his Northwest Texans.
Games.
Yeah.
That's all he's got to do is say Northwest is in the playoffs. It's my game.
Jeez.
Sorry, pick one, Heckma. Pick a different one than we picked.
I can't. I'm stopped. Rockwall Belton.
Louisville Keller.
That was my game I was going to pick.
Louisville Keller, also a good one.
That
and
is gonna be a
Saxy
lot of
Plano
fun.
East. I think that's a fun game.
I was going to say that one as well, but I guess I can't take that one.
And that Plano Wildcat team's got a huge game tonight, right, Walchuk?
All
It's
right,
a big one, baby.
Hey, also on the predictions, Eric and I fight live on Facebook. Facebook Live, Bare Knuckle Brawls.
Bare Knuckle, Whataburger Friday Night Stars. I think my favorite game of the week since we've named really every other game, College Station and Mesquite Poteet. I think that's going to be a good game in Mesquite.
Oh, great call.
Thank you very much.
Wow,
Defending state
man.
champion Seth McGowan. That's going to be a good one. But we get a good look at what's about to conspire, a little bit of warm-ups from around
those
the area.
helmets.
Duncanville looking real icy with the chrome red. Whataburger Friday Night Stars live from the Star in Frisco. Once again, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. Give you some extra content throughout the night. We'll give you some halftime scores, some videos, everything you need to know about Friday night football in Texas. Texas high school football playoffs are here. Special thanks to Chris Beam and Matt Kent in studio. Chance Williams also holding it down. For everybody here in studio, Eric Chiafalo, Zach Wolchuk, Heckman Harrison, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long for now. We'll be back at 9 o'clock. Friday Night Stars Overtime coming at you in a couple hours.